right, guys, just a second while I get the other stream up and running. It for some reason it said live streaming is not available, and now I'm live. Anyways, so all right, looks like we're live in both chats, and it's been an amazing couple of days at Mountain Gnosis retreat events. We've been going out into Incan ruins and running around like lunatics and discovering all sorts of interesting things about the Incans and about ourselves, and also finding entire areas of these ruin sites that I didn't know existed, which was cool. At the first site called Sacsayhuaman, and by the way, yes, I drank mescaline today, so it is an altered AMA tonight. If you guys have any questions or topics that you would like me to riff on in an altered state, then riff away I shall. So at any rate, the first place is called Sacsayhuaman. We went there yesterday, I think, and it is a huge, sprawling, gigantic, I don't really know what, it was a holy place, I guess, mostly, and there is a lava flow, a huge lava flow in the shape of a turtle shell. And so the Incans piled up a bunch of dirt in front of it to make a head, so there's a full turtle mound, and then behind that there's this huge monolithic rocks. There's one that looks like a gate that has 7 stones going around it that the shaman tour guide that we had the last time told us represent the same thing as the 7 principles of Hermeticism, basically, that it mirrors that perfectly. And there were towers on top of Sacsayhuaman, which means satisfaction from flesh in Quechua, in Quechua. But it's not, it sounds like sexy woman and satisfaction from flesh, that coincidence, but it's actually from killing, this satisfaction. The conquistadors murdered apparently thousands and thousands or hundreds, excuse me, still tripping a little bit, hundreds and hundreds of people there, because they had a very large golden sun disk, the Taita Inti, the sun god, of Taita Inti, the sun god, and they heard that the Incas were coming, so the conquistadors were coming, god damn it, and so they threw the disc in the lake, and in response to this, the conquistadors killed the Incas there, and that's the legend anyways. And that, it was an amazing place, but really what I'm getting at is that it's a huge area, so I missed this entire path last time I was there, and it turns out that it's a lava flow, and the Inca have carved all of these. I was thinking I might actually show you guys if you want. I haven't edited the video yet, but I did just transfer it to my computer, so maybe es posible, podemos ver. Let's see. What was the date yesterday? The 16th. Yeah. Here we go. Sure. Yeah. Let me get this together and we'll watch a few clips. Pretty cool, but anyways, the lava flows, I hope I got good video of this. I'm actually not seeing any. I hope I had the presence of mind to get some video of it, but they're lava flows, and they have carved all of these strange things into them. And some of it is actually MC Escher-esque, like, the stairs, that painting, very famous stair painting. There are stairs that are underneath of, on the back side of chunks of lava. And then so today we drank some San Pedro and we went up into the Temple of the Sun. And the Temple of the Sun site is really interesting because there are these lodestones that, according to Quechua lore, are actually meteorites. And they make uh, the black ones are male, and the iron meteorite affair is more rust colored. And so one is masculine and one is feminine. They're two different types of meteorites. And they use these spheres to smooth the rock in the ruin, they say, but also to concentrate the energy of Inti, the sun god, which I would take to mean that they understood the electromagnetic field and that they were managing the energy in the ceremony by actually interfacing with the field like the particles that we are. Let me check out the chat. And by the way, the idea was that if you guys had questions that or topics for me to riff on while altered, I'm available for that. Otherwise, we might just take a trip down very, very recent memory lane and check out some of these videos if I can get my head together enough to share my screen. There we go. This is the program that does that. Yeah, and then I don't have a ton of time. Like I said, I just wanted to pop on and spend a little bit of time with the community and say hi to everyone. Say hi to everyone. And we may have some Chonga in a bit. I don't know if these guys really have the energy for it. They thought they did. But it's quite a hike. I'll put a full video together of the Temple of the Sun and the Sacsayhuaman trips sooner than later. In the meantime, you guys, what do I need? Screen capture, right? There we go. Okay, I think this means now we can watch videos. Of course, these are not edited yet, and who knows what kind of goofy shit we might be saying. Risky. So here's the lava flows that make up the turtle. And I came into the ruin this time from the far side. So I didn't even know I was on the turtle. I knew about the turtle, and I'd seen the turtle, but I just saw these lava flows, and I didn't know that it was that thing, that mass. Yeah, listen to me. Holy fucking crap, man. Yeah, I didn't know all this stuff was over here. Let's see where we get into that. Yeah, okay, so these are the lava flows that aren't part of the turtle that they carved up. And hopefully I got some good video from in there. Let's see. Nope. Looks like I did not do a good job there. So yeah, this is just like walking down into the lava flows, and you can see these like benches or something. Some people say they're thrones for giants, and there were records of from explorers saying that there were indeed giants. Uh-oh. I think I had my camera in the wrong mode, and I may have totally just... Oh no, here we go. All right, so... Yeah, see, what is this? Why did they go through all this trouble to make all these weird flat spots? And it's just really strange. Here, how about if we just turn that audio off before I say something dumb? Oh yeah, over there, straight ahead of me, it got interesting again. It's carved up lava. Yeah. That is the head of the turtle, actually. I didn't really realize what I was looking at yet. crazy, right? And these ruins go for just miles and miles and miles. And there's just all sorts of sites all over the place. They're all weird. Some all right, there we go. We got that back, and then probably I'll have to restart my Zoom background. Yep. Hi guys, we're back. So, where were we? Memory lane again. So here's some more. Look at the size of these stones. That one's like 522 tons. Absolutely insane. So we are having another event in November in the Sacred Valley. It'll probably be the last one in the Sacred Valley. So email me if you're interested in that. We're going to hunt for morel mushrooms out in the forest and other. Look at the stonework. It's just absolutely insane how they rounded that so perfectly. And a lot of these stones, you can't fit a razor blade. And these are animals. Oh, well, you can't really see. This raw video we're watching. Why am I doing this? Yeah, man. I don't think I had it together on my videoing that day. You guys want to see some of the Temple of the Sun, too, while we're in here? I think I can. 17th is today, right? What is this? Oh, that's a pile of guinea pigs. It's not the right. Oh, that's August 18th, 17th. What's today? 9/17. So, where are we at? 9/17, 9/7, 9/17. Here we go. The moon was incredible on the way home. My God, man, what a sight that was. Let's see if I got any decent pictures. Get yourself out of here. Yeah, not great, but man, it was huge. That's not the sun. That's the moon there. Okay, sorry. I don't know why this keeps happening. Pretty dang annoying for facts and stuff. Okay, so here we are, back at the Temple of the Sun. Interesting. Yeah, this is like the lower grounds. There's always alpacas around, and Neil got spit on because he decided to get too close to one. There's Ethan. See how ridiculous this stuff is before it gets edited and put on the channel? These are cool. These have been running since the town is this only still functioning Incan town. This is trippy. Like these stairs just kind of go up into the next level, and then it has them. Yikes! All the way down. We already looked at this one. Has them all the way down the thingy. Out of control, man. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop this game because I think it's causing the crashing. So yeah. Are we back? Yeah, we're back. All right, guys. Enough. Enough. All right. One more time, we'll try this. Otherwise, I'm just going to move on to other stuff. I have other stuff to do tonight, and I may have to get my jack replaced. misplaced or something in this thing, and because it just keeps disconnecting, and every time it does that, I have to restart my program. So I apologize, guys. It's been a bit of a mess. I was there. It was amazing. It's true. He was, and it is. He is still here in the next room, getting ready to embark on a Chonga journey. If he still has the energy and gumption. I don't see any questions for the Mescaline magician tonight, though. Can we talk hermetics after stream? Yeah, that's somebody here, though. So that's not. How advanced were the Incas? That's a good question, and it depends on what you mean. I am not by any stretch an expert on the Incas, but from what I can tell, no one is. It's kind of it kind of seems like the church wanted to destroy any remnant, of their knowledge and the information. They stole all their treasure and killed all the people, and so. Also, Incan Quechua is not the same as modern Quechua, so I think that also kind of like Tower babbled some stuff. But there's a site in Moray, where there are concentric circles. It's called the Laboratorio del Inca. And I have pictures of it in my thing, but every time I touch my computer, so I'm not doing it. I'll put a video together eventually, but there's these concentric circles, and every tier is 15 degrees Celsius different. So they also put it in a sort of a bowl so that the wind couldn't pollinate, and it could control the pollination, kind of like a pot farmer would want to. And so they actually brought in soil from all over Ecuador, the Incan Empire, and then they terraced these things with the different soils. And then they acclimated the jungle plants to the mountains, and whatever, all the different or the colder stuff started bringing it down. And in this way, they created, for example, 3,000 different types of potatoes. So the Incas definitely were advanced in that sense. And then also, it's really difficult to ascertain exactly where they were at spiritually because the church destroyed everything. They razed the temples almost to the ground, and then they attached cathedrals on top of them. And they even destroyed their own records, it seems like. We don't really have drawings, to my knowledge, or anything of what these places looked like when the conquistadors, when the conquerors got there. So the Temple of the Sun, for example, we know that there were gold effigies in all of these. There are like these little not square, but trapezoid or rhombohedron or something. There's these little things that, these shapes, and they put gold effigies. The big ones for mummies, probably, and the smaller ones are for golden effigies of animals and whatnot. And so, there are thousands of them. These places were ornate, posh, beyond imagination. And just trying to imagine what it must have looked like to walk up to the Temple of the Sun at night with the torches burning, and the Incan priest class up there with their golden adornments all on in San Pedro, and they had ayahuasca as well. They did engage in child sacrifice at the Temple of the Sun, and they would remove the children from their families. It was considered a great honor, so the child was not afraid, and they believed that they were eternal, so it wasn't really a problem. It was just a transition, and they were given coca to keep them awake for several days, and then ayahuasca on the night of the sacrifice, but to such an extent that they were not aware of anything. So just incredible to try to imagine actually being present, back in the day. But aside from the barbaric child sacrificing practice, I am obviously really interested in the connection of light and consciousness and our sun. This has been like a primary focal point of fascination for me for decades now. And when I visited the Temple of the Sun the first time, when I was leaving, I ran into a shaman who was explaining to me that these meteorites, the chumpi stones, that are kind of used in a similar way to acupuncture needles, except that there's no piercing. They're just, I don't have them in the room, I don't think. Um, if someone is watching in the house and hears me say this, maybe they can. I don't know. I don't know. You guys have seen them, I'm sure. There's one that has 1 point, and then there's one with 2 points, one with 3 points, one with four, and you place them on basically meridians around the body, and it's a way to um, bring your micro electromagnetic field into homeostasis with the greater universal mind. Um, but anyways, he is explaining, these chumpi stones are carved from meteorites, and the Quechua legend is that they're meteorites. The official version is not that they're not, but that it can't be proven. Um, and I think the what would have had to happen is that when it was still an ocean here, otherwise there'd be giant craters everywhere. But perhaps they hit the ocean, and it was a belt or something. It is a little bit odd to think there would be such a high concentration of meteors, but if that's the case, and they are magnetic and they look like meteors. I mean, I don't know how they couldn't be meteors. If they are, there's probably a few $1 million in the driveway out here, because the people that built this property took a bunch of them and they just stuck them in the ground as like part of the walkway, and it's absurd looking. But yeah, whatever they are, they're extremely magnetic for sure, and heavy, 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 heavy. And so he tells me they use these meteorites because they concentrate the energy of Inti, and Inti is the sun. And so the energy of Inti would be concentrated by concentrating the electromagnetic field, which meteorites do. So that is really interesting to me as well. Also, the Incas surrounded everything with gold. They put gold paper, almost like wallpaper, in the temples, and they ate with golden utensils and bowls. And they were obsessed with gold, but they didn't place any monetary value on it. So it seems that they understood that it was consciousness, crystallized consciousness, which is the same that the alchemists, basically the same view the alchemists had, and a lot of other ancient cultures. And there's an old Masonic book. The author writes, "Man had truth and found error," and then he proceeds for the next like 500 pages to prove it. Going through all the different tribes and regions and time periods where all of this stuff was known and understood, and it was ubiquitous and universal. And then basically magistrates known as archons infiltrated the mysteries in Rome and used a distorted, corrupted version of it to create the Bible, and the minds of mankind have been enslaved ever since. I mean, in a nutshell. So I guess that was a very long mescaline enhanced way of answering a question about how advanced were the Incas. They had metalworking. Their stonework was more precise than that of the Egyptians. Damn it, I never put this back, did I? Oh man, why didn't anyone tell me that my thing wasn't right? Rude. It won't let me fix it either, probably. Yeah. Well, that's dumb. Let me see. Maybe I can. I don't understand you guys. Well, there I am. We can just do that, I guess. Howdy. Howdy. So what were we talking about? I can't see my chat now. I don't know. There's a ghost in the machine, or I'm just had too much San Pedro and too long of a day to navigate this stuff properly. I have no idea really what's happening. Um, but yeah, the hope is that we are experiencing the kind of archaic revival that Terence McKenna described. That this knowledge that was lost in antiquity is reemerging, but it's doing it in a new context. You know, it always kind of drives me crazy that people tend to frame modern history as a sort of mistake. You know, and I don't think that that's how the universe works. It's more about having deviated from that because order comes from chaos, or at least it is necessary that chaos should precede order. And so we have this period of dumb fuckery that precedes the emergence of, you know, a new emergent order comes to us from this catastrophe soup. So get yourself a nice fat ladle, fill it up, take a deep, deep slurpings of the soup of chaos, because it's the same thing as the primordial soup that the vibrating logos, you know, compelled to symmetry, and we had an emergent new order. So here we go again, same recipe, same ingredients even, but slightly different, very different context. It's facts. So, let me check in with the chat. Man, I am pissed off. Clipping? Oh my god. So you're telling me it also reset my... What a train wreck this stream has turned out to be. Most of it's not my fault, though, so I don't feel too bad about that. Ah, yep, there it is. But hey, look, I'm back. Oh no, wait, that's God, you guys. Okay, so at any rate, let me video cut out on horizontal. Oh, yep, it's gone, huh? God. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know what's going on with my machine. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe. Join our Patreon. How about the other night's Chonga ceremony? I don't think we made it to that. I don't remember which night that was or what. That's supposed to happen now in about a half hour if everyone's still game. We're gonna do that. So does anyone have any topics or comments for the or whatever? Can we talk hermetics? Oh yeah, that's for later though. The moon seems so much brighter lately. Yeah, man, it was insane tonight for sure. I don't understand why it cut out in the other. This is just ridiculous, you guys. Screen capture. Here, maybe if I put that up there. All right, there we go. So that works and this doesn't. Is that what I'm getting? Oh, there we go. All right, so I have very little time left, you guys. If you have something for me to talk about, then please. I found out more details about my birth. Okay. He's getting information on the San Pedro at the Temple of... Oh, from the San Pedro at the Temple of the Sun today. No, you know, honestly, that particular mission needs to be performed when there are less tourists. It's actually kind of the high season right now, and we did go up and have some rape, some samuama, which is for particularly for connecting with Sacha, Sinchi Sacha, which is the spirit of the forest, and another hike that we did the other day. We didn't make it to our... No, that was the water. Was it the waterfall? The waterfall we made it to. The lake we did not make it to because everyone lied to us. They said it's just a couple hours, and we walk a couple hours, and it's hot and San Pedro um, and so we asked the next person, how far is the lake? Just a couple hours. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What do you mean a couple more hours? So we walk a couple more hours, and the next person, how far is the lake? Just a couple more hours. So we didn't end up making it to the lake, but we did make it up into where it was very wet. So it was kind of like the jungle. It was weirdly reminiscent of the jungle, even though it was really cold. But lots of parasitical plants, and we found this giant rock, and we climbed down and had some rape, and it was incredible. The combination of that particular rape with the San Pedro in that moment was like the most perfect thing imaginable. The feeling of just absolute connectivity with the entire universe and just this feeling of peace and emptiness, but not a bad emptiness, just like you were just air and just part of the cosmos. Uh, it was really quite perfect. So, anyways, we took that same rape up into the Temple of the Sun, and we did sit and sun gaze with the San Pedro and the rape, and it was very peaceful. But there was too much chatter from the tourists in the background, and a lot of wind. It was really windy. So, in order to really do that seriously in that spot, it would have to be during the off season, which November will be the off season, but we'll probably be getting rained on if we go there because it'll be raining a lot. So, it's difficult to try to do these like serious medicine missions when there are 2,000 people around. It wasn't crowded so that we didn't have our space and whatnot, but you couldn't really get away from the chatter of tourists. Okay, so we have not had any comments or questions in the vertical stream. Okay, I'll give you guys a few more minutes to pop questions in there if you want. Otherwise, I'm going to go and have Chonga con mi hermanos um, after 11 hours of San Pedro. I will see if our one guest had Yopo after a pretty large dose of San Pedro the other day, and he really purged, man. It was quite a spectacle. But I'm gonna try to convince him to do an experience report. So Chonga is a go. Mountain Gnosis is great. What was the name of the poem we read the other day? Um, what's in my Chonga blend? It is made by a friend in Pisac. So exactly what is in there, I'm not 100%, but they are freebase harmalas for sure. Tobacco, a little bit of Brumansia Toei flower because it's highly absorbent and it takes away some of the body load, and ayahuasca leaves. Um, but it appears that there are pistils from some type of flower. I noticed, so I have to ask him what those are. But overall, that's what's in there. Chongo. I mean, Harmala's ayahuasca leaves, DMT. The DMT is um, extracted with food grade lye as well. So minimal poison involved in the process of extracting DMT. There's really no way to do it that's completely kosher. But food grade lye is as close as you're going to get. You can't avoid the naphtha. You're still going to be using naphtha, which means you're going to have to dispose of naphtha. So that's not great. Not entirely great. Okay, well, I have been given the green light for the Chonga, so if there's not another question in the next 2 minutes, technical difficulties, apologize for that. Neil Dennis, tell us about masculine attributes of Dan Pedro. Homie, you are high still. Look, what is this? Tell us about masculine attributes of San Pedro. Oh, okay. I thought you said mescaline apps of Dan Pedro. I'm not sure who Dan Pedro is. He must be a cousin of San Pedro. This one got bit by a dog today too. Don't try to pet stray dogs when you are in an altered state because they may take that as weird energy and bite you on the hand. San Pedro. Yeah, Dan Pedro. I don't know. Dan Pedro. San Pedro, and why it is masculine. Masculine. Magician, musician. You know, these etymological synchronisms are meaningful more often than not. But mescaline is masculine because it is phallic, because the San Pedro cactus is phallic, and because it is a medicine of the light, and it is taken during the day, and you are bombarded with information at high doses. It is not this sort of spacious, feminine, dark thing that ayahuasca. It's the yin to the yang or the yang to the yin. Have you ever tried mescaline sulfate? No, I have not. And I do know that when you remove these compounds from the entourage effect, from their entourage effects, so psilocybin mushrooms, for example, are not just psilocin and psilocybin. There are harmala alkaloids and probably other constituents like serotonin precursors and 5-HTP, these type of things that are in the mushrooms that contribute to the effect of them. That's why when you eat different mushroom strains, you have different effects. It's because they have a different entourage effect. And so with the cactus, it's the same. Mescaline is a much more difficult, and it feels peyote. Did I say peyote? Peyote, lafafra. Where are they? I have some. Cactus is growing. Lafafra Williamsii, or Lafafra diffusa, which is false peyote and can be a lot more difficult to dose because it's much more sporadic in its mescaline content. Anyways, it feels more ancient, they say. I haven't actually eaten peyote. I've only ever had San Pedro, and it'll be like 16 years before I can eat the ones I have, it sounds like. So, much more ancient, Hicorito, is in the song Hicarito está limpiando, mis mayores van llegando, is, peyote, grandfather peyote is cleaning, and my ancestors are coming. So you have to prepare the house for the arrival of the ancestors. And so, what I was kind of addressing his mescaline question, even though I haven't taken mescaline by itself, I do know that when you take these compounds out of their natural environment, they tend to, in fact, one of our guests had a story about a girl who ate some synthesized psilocin that he had, and it was an absolute nightmare for her, because the entourage effect isn't there to support and to negate some of the marijuana has this. CBD negates a lot of the psychological stuff, reduces the psychedelic effect of THC, and other cannabinoids do as well. And that's why we have part of the reason the terpenoids also contribute to the entourage effect with marijuana. So different strains have these like widely varying effects on people. And because our brain chemistry is different, the entourage effect may, it's going to affect every person differently too. So matching a cannabis strain to an individual can be quite a task. But so anyways, back to the original question of San Pedro and the masculinity and the light. The light is the information, and it is the symmetry. It is the impulse. It is the fire that drives creation. And a very common experience on mescaline is to actually become a photon in a sea of photons. And I experienced this once myself. The photons, actually, I realized were also represented monads, Leibniz's monads, basically individual souls, I guess. An indestructible unit of consciousness that is also eternal, in the same way that carbon may begin its life, a molecule of carbon may begin its life in a star, and then it goes through all of these different transmutations, maybe into diamond, whatever, and then the sun grows very large, and with great heat, the elements separate again. And despite the fact that this single molecule of carbon has been a diamond and a piece of dirt, and maybe, who knows, all sorts of things over millions and billions of years, it remains essentially unchanged. So this is the equivalent, the as above, so below equivalent of carbon, this photon. But it's also an individual unit of consciousness. And they were also hypercubes or tesseracts, so when I could draw them in, I realized, and examine them more closely. And when I did that, I could see that part of them existed in time, so you could never see the whole shape. Just like it looks like it's moving or disappearing, but it's not. It's just that you can only see the part of it that's in the same vector of time that you are. And so this represented an individual, and in the one that I was, the cactus made disappear, and I disappeared, and I didn't exist, and it was terrifying. And then I came back, and there was another dialogue that ensued between the cactus and I. We don't need to get into all that. I've told the story before, but the interesting part is that I've seen this vision. Another kid that drank the medicine too much for him. He was fine, but way too far out there. But at one point, he started saying, "The billions and trillions and millions and billions and trillions and billions. There's just trillions," and I knew exactly what he was looking at. It's a sea of photons. And this other San Pedro shaman walks up, and he's just standing beside me. And he looks at the kid, and he hears this, and he looks at me, and he goes, "It's a conversation with the light, isn't it?" So that's when it hit me that this was not just me. This is like, this is what the cactus does at a high enough dose. It makes you aware of your fundamental nature as light itself, and then you enter into a dialogue with the light itself. And that's kind of what I think, honestly. A lot of people talk about plant spirits, and they tend to believe in plant spirits as explanations for what these intelligences are. And I try to entertain everything. So it could be the left part of the brain, the right part of the brain, and the one side or the subconscious and conscious, right? However you want to think about it. But it would seem to the conscious mind that the subconscious is actually another entity, and we just think that, and it's nothing but us. That's possible. There's no way to argue against that as a possibility. I think there's more to it than that, but you know what I mean? And then a lot, people think that it's the plant spirits, and I tend to think that it connects us to, it turns off our filters, so we're connected to the light itself or the universal mind. And ayahuasca has a different personality because it is it's more like the feminine frequency of this universal mind. I don't believe that it's actually a vine and leaves that we are interfacing with while it's happening during ceremony. I treat it that way because that's how I was taught to think about it, and it seems that way, so that's how I deal with it. And I'm not saying I'm certain it isn't that way, but it seems much more likely to me that these are these compounds shift our receiver or expand our receptivity. But I don't know that it's actually the plant. In the case of San Pedro, to me, it seems like it's allowing a dialogue directly with the light itself. Mysteries that we'll probably never truly solve because of the subjective nature of the whole mess. Okay, let me run through this chat again. I have 11 minutes. I will give more to this. There was blood. Yep. He tripping on San Pedro, sees a cute little dog, and usually it's fine. The dogs it wasn't like a poor area. You know what I mean? Everything was nice, and it wasn't like we were walking through an alley in the city and there's a scruffy street dog. it was in the doorway of a business, and I guess he's like reached down to pet it, and luckily just presented the back of his hand to make sure it was safe, and it was not safe, and he ended up bleeding pretty profusely. But it was fine, you know. He wasn't like he's there, he's good. Yes, of course. Thank you. I'm still curious. Appreciate the insight. I also have some peyote cactus. Nice. Do you plan on eating the peyotes you are growing? Yeah, but it's going to be like a long time. They're 4 years old now, and they're about this big. The video is on the channel somewhere. They're tiny little getter putters. Pups. Oh, wow. Now I'm feeling bad about all of the I just saw my views actually would have been a lot, but we were having all of these technical difficulties, and so people signed out. To the rest of you, thank you for your patience, and I have a few more minutes for questions if anyone has any. What does this mean? The spice. Dominic writes the spice. Good day, Johan. Good to see you in the chat. Lucky I had an intuition to bring the extra Band-Aids. Yes. Thank you, Ethan, for being a good Boy Scout. Good morning. Peace and blessings from South UK. We have 2 people from the UK in the house right now. I think one of them is from South UK, and the other one is from some other part of the UK. I don't know anything about the UK. By the way, you guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Support us on Patreon. Join our Patreon. We're demonetized. I get no support from YouTube. They're bastards. They censor me. They shadow banned. They are dicks. And I'm dependent on them. I really am, which is crazy. I almost feel like it's a victory, though, that they demonetized me, and I managed to make a living from YouTube anyways. You know, when they demonetized, the views drop from it was like 1,000 in a few days to like 100, so 10x at least less. But I feel like I won by sticking it out. So let that be a lesson and an inspiration to all of you goddamn lunatics out there, or at least I hope you're lunatics. It's a full moon. Everyone should be out there howling at it with all of their strength, naked as the day you were born, and hopefully with a belly full of some kind of wonderful healing plant medicine concoction. Yorkshire. Neil is from the north, and I'm from the south, a.k.a. the English hillbillies. Yeah, we have 2 UK, 1 Australia at the moment. Everyone has a cute accent but me. It's infuriating. Okay, guys, I'm running out of time. So do you have any topics, questions, comments? People have been asking me to talk about Project 2025 for some reason, and I swore off politics, there's just no point. People think what they're going to think already. It doesn't matter what you tell them. If there's, proof, overwhelming proof of something they don't want to think, they're just not going to think it. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. You might as well just shut the hell up about it because nobody's listening. The logic of the whole thing is so simple. There is a tiny little fragment of people, 1% at the very top of the pyramid that control everything, right? Not everything, but and so their interests, all these little webs, rivulets of, they all meet at the top. That's all you need to know about a 2-party political system. That's it. All of the rhetoric, all of the wedge issues, all of the disagreements, all of it is just puppets saying the shit that they know that the puppet from that side should be saying to make the whole thing look real. That's it. The fact that anyone falls for it at all at this point is mind-blowing to me. It's completely insane. It's a literal insanity. You have to actually be mentally ill to buy into it at all. And if you're one of those people and I just insulted you, good. You need it badly. You need a straight jacket and some fucking Thorazine, really. You know what I mean? Like maybe a frontal lobotomy and a trip to Antarctica or something. I mean, it's bad. It's really, really bad. Um, and Project 2025, whether Donald Trump is elected, which I think is, just nonsense, or Harris, it's going to happen either way. That's the reality. Either way, it's going to happen. And the reason is that in order to consolidate power into a totalitarian state, you can only have one party. And they've been pushing people, trying to push people into the right in the United States since the 50s. And people say on the right are like, oh yeah, right, look at the liberal control of blah blah blah. No, it's not real. They want to vilify by the people that are pretending to be liberal in the power structure are just trying to vilify it so that they can empty it out and gut it into the right. That's all that's happening. That's the whole riddle solved for you. And once that happens, they plan to the Heritage Foundation. Donald Trump said he doesn't know anything about it. Absolute lie. There are pictures of him on the plane talking to the director or whatever. And so they're going to get rid of the FBI, CIA, Department of Education, all of these things. That sounds great until you realize they're not going to. What you do is it's selective annihilation in order to create a vacuum, and then you fill that vacuum with your own machinations. You know what I mean? They're not going to just get rid of all these things and just leave this gaping hole. It's just stupid. They're going to consolidate power under one person, and that one person is under the control of other people. If it's Donald Trump, he's just a figurehead. If it's Harris, it's just a figurehead. It's just a scapegoat. And it's a person that looks like a clown, talks like a clown, walks like a clown, so everyone goes, hey, it's a clown. You're right, it's a clown. But it's not the kind of clown you think it is, It's not making mistakes and bumbling around. That's the appearance that you're given so that you don't actually perceive the evil that's actually happening. But anyways, Project 2025 is basically about consolidating power in the United States into one party. And that party will be a right-leaning, totalitarian, uniparty, technocracy, if you look at Elon Musk over the last couple of years, how increasingly right-wing he's become and the narratives, and he blames it on his kid becoming transgender and then writing him off or whatever. But, it's not sincere. It's not sincere at all. He's a puppet. They're all puppets. Donald Trump is a puppet. Kamala Harris is a puppet. Elon Musk is a puppet. Joe Biden is a puppet. RFK Jr. is a puppet. All puppets. All puppets. There are no exceptions. You're not choosing the lesser of two evils. You're not. Choosing of the lesser of two evils is still choosing evil anyways. Yeah, I do think RFK Jr. is a puppet as well. I know he is. He was just okay. This is what people have a hard time wrapping their heads around. These overlords are highly intelligent and they have access to tremendous technology and data collection resources, and so they can compile all that. And then they know exactly what the puppet needs to say to you to make you believe he's real. You know what I mean? So RFK Jr. was just playing a role that was very carefully crafted and designed for him. He was already lends himself to this character pretty well. And if you heard the conversation that he had with Donald Trump that was supposedly leaked, they were obviously colluding, And the whole point of it the entire time was just to get RFK supporters that wouldn't necessarily follow Trump to make Trump look sincere by getting RFK's endorsement. Who's that woman from Hawaii? I used to really like her, or at least the stuff coming out of her mouth. And then she just started spewing like a canned right-wing narrative. Tulsi Gabbard, complete puppet, totally full of shit. But yeah, his endorsement designed to make Donald Trump look authentic. And, really the whole time he was just collecting people for that side. And ultimately, I don't think the votes really matter. It doesn't, it's probably easier not to have to rig an election, but the reality is they have both puppets under their control. They and the deep state thing, people thinking, oh, the deep state keeps trying to kill Donald Trump. Deep state doesn't try to kill people. Deep state kills people. It's just a show. It's all a farce. Everyone needs to stop buying into it because it's hurting my fucking brain and my heart and my balls and everything are just, all of it is just shriveling up and dying of embarrassment. What is this? I'm still waiting for your email. I'm quite sure I did email you, my friend, already. Um, all right. Any more questions for the mad mescaline magician? Otherwise, gotta go launch some people into hyperspace in a minute here. And yeah, I mean, I apologize for that political rant, but this is like, it's important that people see this. I mean, we don't have much chance of changing trajectory as long as we're like overwhelmed by boomers that still think it's real and other people that are, so indoctrinated by their parents or whatever that they just can't see, their hand in front of their face at this point. Um, it is really incredible. It really is incredible to realize that there are people that are conscious, and then there are, like, an overwhelming majority of them that are pretty much literally automatons with feelings, not dehumanizing them at all. But that's the reality. There's that hypnotized, and it's not an exaggeration. It's not a matter of condescension. Somebody was arrogant enough to say that I say these things because I haven't studied political systems, that I didn't know enough about the two parties the other day in the comments. I've studied all of this stuff, and it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the net result of all of that studying was that there is no ism schism game that's going to resolve all of this beef, until the consciousness of the populace is changed. It doesn't matter if it's communism, socialism, capitalism, whichever ism threatens the your particular overlords in your current system is the one that is going to be evil. Right now, I think yesterday I looked up the 20 happiest countries in the world, and what is your metric for number one country in the world? Shouldn't it be happiness? You know what I mean? And like 3/4 of them were socialist, like democratic socialist. You know, and if you go on any platform in the United States, and people will talk about how, oh, this democratic socialism will just destroy everything, and we'll all be on welfare and whatever. And it's like, well, explain to me why all of these countries have the happiest rating for the highest rating for happiness. Like none of them are, the four of them or something, four or five: Australia, the United States, Canada. Well, the United States is no longer on the list. That's actually why I looked up the thing. I saw this. It's like now number 21. But yeah, very few capitalist countries. So I'm kind of offering that just to show you that, in case you haven't noticed, that it really is indoctrination to the point where people, like, objective facts are not only irrelevant but like infuriating. The cognitive dissonance, once it is entrenched in the being of, in the personhood, you identify with these concepts and political beliefs, and then there's cognitive dissonance in them. Once you trigger that, once this is established, fight or flight. So it's a very effective protocol strategy that they have been refining for really hundreds and hundreds of years. I was doing a secret stream for my patrons the other day, which all of you should be, by the way, because you're watching my content and YouTube doesn't pay me, so you have to. Um, and Albert Pike was talking about how they have been, the different secret societies, and this is a 33rd degree Freemason talking, perfecting the art of controlling people for thousands of years. This is not conjecture, you know? And then sometimes I think there's no real point in trying to wake people up either, because there's not a grain of sand in the universe that's out of place. You know, there are equal parts good and evil. There's equal parts order and chaos. There will always be that. It's supposed to be that way. It has to be that way. And so the cogs in the machine, just let them be cogs in the machine and go, you know, do you do you, and don't worry about the cogs in the machine, you know. You have to compartmentalize, and you have to think like, what is your true nature? What is in your heart? What is in your being? What is in your mind to do? And you have to separate knowledge of universal law and the necessity of duality and all of these things, and still act in accordance with your highest expression of yourself that is possible. You know, that is the trick. And I used to think that I wanted to try to wake up the human race, not alone, but I thought it was happening on a large scale, and that, you know, that was the answer to bring all these people to a higher consciousness. But then everybody quits bagging groceries, and, you know, the whole thing falls apart. So, you know, for your average Walmart bagger, illumination is only going to make him more miserable. This is not, it's not a help. It's not a help. You know, he's still stuck there maybe. So, you know what I'm getting at? It's like you almost have to appreciate him. The ones that tend to get our attention because, you know, we're confused. How can they be so lost? And how can they, you know, be so vapid? And, you know, why do muggles exist? How do normies survive even glancing once into the night sky without having this epiphany and wonder that becomes an obsession that drives a metaphysical and spiritual existence? Like, how does that not happen? Not your problem, not my problem, not anyone's problem. You know, we need them to remain in that state until the time where they don't need to be in that state anymore. And then if it's in the cards, it will happen, you know? So and I'm saying this because, you know, we kind of went down that political rabbit hole of zombie fucking apocalypse shit. And that's kind of how I've managed to pull my attention away from it, because on the one hand, it's such a useful way to illustrate the lunacy, and it is by diagnosis that we cure, you know. And if you diagnose a cold and you have cancer, then you're going to die. So objective analysis is essential in the process of, you know, the redintegration of humanity to its former sovereign state. But for me now, just strengthening the people that are already on my wavelength to the degree that I'm capable is it. I'm not really worried about trying to, you know, what is this megaphone anything to the muggle masses, you know. You do you, boo. That's what's up. Speaking of dietata, Kratom will show you things. Kratom dieta? Ay, ay, ay. I like it when you say you gotta wrap it up and then talk for another 30 minutes. Yeah, the San Pedro kicked back in too. How do we get regular people in the president position? You will not. You will not. And if Donald Trump was really who people thought he was, he would be dead. Not, they wouldn't try. His ear is fine. You know, it was all a farce. It's not real. None of it's real. None of it's ever going to be real. There will never be a normal person in the White House. There will never be an honest person in the White House. There will never be a person in the White House. The only thing that will ever be in the White House under any circumstances is a puppet with someone's hand up their ass. That is it. That is all. There is no possibility of anything else ever happening unless the entire system collapses. That's the reality, you know. And I know it sounds cynical, but It's weird. It's like people try to insist that you remain delusional in order to facilitate their ability to remain delusional, you know? But it's like that disappointment and rage and disgust that people get when you tell them the truth, it's a formidable obstacle in telling the truth. He who speaks the truth has few friends. And it's true that I have few friends, you know? And people have gotten really mad at me for telling the truth. In fact, probably the reason I got demonetized, I don't know what happened, but the algorithm threw one of my streams out to like 20,000 people in 2020, right as the election was happening. And I was saying all this stuff, and a few days later, they're like demonetized. That stream actually didn't get taken down, I don't think, and is still on my channel somewhere. I should actually make it a point to like edit it and highlight the numbers and show my emails from a few days later. Not that anyone will see it, but if you're going to tell people the truth, you had better make them laugh or else they will kill you. That's the full quote from Oscar Wilde. If you're going to tell people the truth, you had better make them laugh or else they will kill you. And that's something I noticed, that, George Carlin would say the same stuff that I would say to people, but in a funnier way, and people loved it. But I would do it, and everyone canceled their Patreon and deleted you know what I mean? Because I was just explaining it in a, like, this is real. And he's doing that too, but he's framing it like it's a joke. And it blew my mind when I realized how much of a difference it actually makes. Comedians really can get away with saying all sorts of shit that the rest of us had better not say if we have any kind of dependency upon herd approval, I guess. I say fuck them and feed them. I don't need them. I won't join them because I can beat them. So I don't worry so much about it. What is this? Denmark is not a socialist country. It's a free market capitalism, lower corporate tax than the U.S. I don't believe that. Denmark. Let's fact check this guy real quick because I'm not sure. Not that I even really care that much. Yeah, it's not what Google says. It's not. None of these countries are pure socialist. I said that earlier when I was talking about this. None of them are pure socialist, but they embrace more progressive, socialist leaning ideas than the United States, and their happiness metric is infinitely higher. So, I mean, if an infinite addition of zeros that are meaningless in your bank account is your metric for what is better, then you're probably American and also a complete idiot and completely insane. Also, the endless addition of zeros with no greater value being achieved. Way to go, Uncle Sam. Smooth sailing. All right, you guys, for real, I gotta go. I got people to attend to. So thank you so much for spending this time with me. And November, still open totally. May is filling, so if you plan to come to the May retreat, you better put your deposit in now, or you're probably not going to be able to come because there's only going to be a maximum of 10 people, and we are, I think, more than halfway there. So if you're planning to come, better put your money where your mouth is, or else you're going to miss out. And Manu is gorgeous. So And this one in Sacred Valley is almost more like an adventure retreat kind of thing. We're not super strict about, people eat natural things and, good food. And we're not like raging and partying, but it's also a lot more relaxed than the jungle retreats. So in the Sacred Valley, a lot of actually going out and exploring stuff, and San Pedro, and we have ayahuasca as well. But it's much more loose. The jungle situation will be a much more serious, focused kind of event, partly because we're in the middle of nowhere and that's what you've got, but also because it's just what's appropriate in that context and environment. And there's just so much to see here that I decided that the adventure uh, focus was appropriate. And I don't think anyone disagrees that is here. Thank you for thanking me for speaking the truth, because people don't generally like it. Um, and you can thank me further by supporting us via PayPal, Cash App, cryptocurrency, and Patreon. Until next time.